I find that a bit restrictive, and I'm not really a lectern type of person. So when I was thinking about what I was going to say today, I started thinking about when I first joined the Labour Party, and I suddenly realised it was nearly 40 years ago. After the 83 election, both me and my mum were so annoyed that we decided to join the party, get involved, and we used to have the branch meetings in our house for many years. So that's kind of my first introduction to it. But I never thought that I would end up getting involved, standing as a councillor. I was happy to do the backroom stuff, to run the meetings and do the telling hours of standing on the outside the polling station where we lived, the nearest one. I was happy to do all of that, partly because I never thought somebody like me would be a councillor. Now, when I say somebody like me, I mean somebody who wasn't particularly well educated. Most of the people that I knew or thought, councillors seemed to be some kind of up there somewhere, and I thought, ordinary people, there's no place for me in politics. I didn't think that I could be a councillor because I wasn't at the time. I know this might come as a surprise to some of you who know me, but I wasn't very confident back then either. So I wasn't very good at getting up and doing this kind of thing. And I thought, well, not very confident, not very well educated, and having a disability as well. For those who don't know, I'm registered blind, and that has its challenges when you're standing as a councillor. And I thought there is no place for me. Then as I got a bit more confident and a bit more, opinionated, I thought there probably wasn't a place for me because I was too opinionated now, and a little bit sweary as well. But there is a place for people like me in politics. There definitely is a place, and so that's why I got involved. But why did I stand? The main reason, the main push that got me involved, made me stand as a councillor. I stood in the 2015 elections, initially in a paper candidate, so in a seat that we wouldn't win, almost definitely wouldn't win. Didn't go down wildly well with my employers at the time that I was standing, but that's a different story. But somebody dropped out and they asked me if I'd be prepared to stand for a different seat, so I did. Didn't get in, but at the count, somebody thanked the outgoing candidate for gifting them the seat because no one else had stood. 11 seats went uncontested in that election, and more in the previous elections as well. And that really annoyed me. Not because obviously I want to win, I wouldn't keep on standing if I didn't. But no seat should go uncontested. Everyone should have the choice to vote for somebody different to the current candidate or the incoming candidate. There should never be a seat that goes uncontested. And that's really important to me because in a democracy, everyone has choice. That's why I want to see lots of people on the ballot papers, lots of people getting involved in politics, lots of people like me who didn't think that this was for me. It absolutely is. We need ordinary, normal people with experience, knowledge, there's a huge amount of knowledge, expertise in this room today, and we need people like you on councils from all around the country. So, but that's enough about me. I'm going to talk a little bit about Droitwich and our view for Droitwich and what we think what the changes we'd like to see. The main thing I really want to see in Droitwich is that we actually start working together more effectively. And we've kind of been doing that a bit on the town council and with the councillors that we know as well. I did a sim specs walk, so you can get various specs you can put on over your glasses that simulate different eye conditions. And I did a walk with one of our county councillors and our current mayor. The county councillor walked out into the middle of the road with a pair of sim specs on, using one of my spare white sticks. I was terrified because I'm thinking, I do not want to be responsible for the death of Richard Morris on a road. That's not a great campaign starter really. But no, he was fine. It was all right, and he really thought that was amusing. But we need to work together. We need to cooperate more. We need to work across, because it's not just about the Conservatives are bad, the Labour is good, the Lib Dems are bad, whatever. It's not about necessarily the parties. It's about working together to get the best outcome outcome for the people of Droitwich. But to do that, I think we need a better mix of people on the town council. And I was asked recently, what has the town council done this year? And I have to think. I shouldn't have to think, I should know what the town council has done this year. It should be obvious. And I know there's lots of festivals, there's lots of things that the council is involved with, and at the town meeting we had some really good reports from the various committees. But what has changed? What has happened in Droitwich? And I think we just need change. We need some fresh blood on the council. We need some fresh ideas, both at town and district level. And that's not a bad thing. And that's not saying it has to come necessarily from Labour, although I hope it does. It's saying that we just need some fresh thinking on there and a fresh approach. And a kinder approach as well. Now that's one of the things that I'm very keen on, which is being kinder to people. Now, being kind isn't being nice. Being nice is telling people what you think they want to hear. Being kind is sometimes telling people what they don't want to hear, but you need to tell them. And it's no kindness just to let somebody, sort of like walk out into the middle of the road wearing a pair of sin specs. The kind thing to do there is to say, hey, don't walk out into the road. And that's, I think, what we need to do generally as a society, but also as a council as well. We need to be more kind to each other, support each other, help each other, but tell each other, be that critical friend, that voice that says, yeah, that's all right, but have you thought about this? Or maybe you could do this a bit better. And I think that's, with only 4 opposition councillors, I think that critical friend voice hasn't been as strong as it needs to be. And just kindness, working together, and not being afraid to answer those difficult questions. Because if you can't answer a question from a critical friend, how are you going to answer that from someone who's critical? But in practice in Droitwich there are lots of things, the big issues. If you go on any of the social media groups, the Raven Hotel is a big one. That's a really complex problem, and I won't even start on that, so don't worry, Alex and Bob at the back there, I'm not going to go into a long diatribe about the Raven Hotel. But there's lots of things that I think it's communicating the reasons why that hasn't been developed to people, and I think that's maybe somewhere that we can improve on, getting those communications out, telling people why. And I know you've probably tried, and we try to tell people, but actually putting it in sort of like really just nice little bits that people can understand, not going into a long explanation, but actually making it easy for people to access that information. So, finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we need from volunteers, etc. So, we can't get elected, we can't make any changes without you. We need people to help with, there's all sorts of things you can help with. So if you don't mind doing a bit of leafleting, canvassing, coming out and doing a bit of door knocking, helping with taking photographs, videos, social media stuff, there's all sorts of things. Also, if you're a really good cake baker, canvassing and leafleting is really hard work. So anyone who can bake me a nice cake, you'll be my friend for life. But if you don't really fancy doing any of that and you think, I want to get involved, but I'm not very good at talking to people, or I don't fancy just knocking on a stranger's door, don't worry, there is a job for you there. I need someone to come out with me. Obviously, I do not want the first time someone sees their respective district or town councillor being sprawled across their drive because I've tripped up the surprise step. So I need someone to come out with me as my guide. So I'm happy to do the talking. As you can tell, that's not a problem. What I find difficult though is the walking. So if someone can walking and staying upright. So if someone would be happy to come out with me, that's brilliant. That's another role that you can do. But there is something for everyone. And one of the things that I've really tried to do is make this campaign as accessible as possible so that everyone can join in, everyone can come here today and ask us questions, everyone is welcome. And I think by making it accessible and inclusive, searchlight right in my eyes, you found me. I'll put my hands up, right, I'll go quietly. But even if it's just a few minutes to help, if it's just sharing a social media post, if it's just liking something, whatever it might be, please, please, at the back when you leave, by a nice little table with the red tablecloth and everything on it, there's some bits of paper. Please fill that in with your name and contact details, and I will contact you over the next couple of weeks and let you know what we've got coming up and how you can help. And thank you so much for coming along. We'll get a chance to ask questions later, and I'm happy to answer anything. If I don't know, then I will find someone who does. Thank you very much.